Jakob Harran was not a soldier, nor a scientist, nor a high-ranking officer in any galactic fleet. He was a mechanic, and a simple one at that. He spent his days aboard the worn-out freighter Wayfinder, patching up what remained of the once reliable ship. The Wayfinder was bound for a remote outpost on the fringe of the galaxy, carrying precious cargo for the Terran colonies. Little did Jacob know his life was about to change forever. One day, as he scrounged through the ship's scrapyard for parts to fix an atmospheric regulator, he stumbled upon an odd-looking piece of machinery. It wasn't part of the ship. In fact, he'd never seen anything quite like it. The robot, half buried under rusted panels, looked ancient, its metal frame cracked, and its power source completely drained. Jacob hauled it back to his workshop. He loved a good challenge, and this would be a way to pass the time on the long voyage. The Wayfinder had no engineers on board, just him. If anyone could get the robot running again, it was Jacob. Over the next few days, Jacob tinkered with the robot, slowly breathing life into its dead circuits. He replaced fried components with makeshift parts, rewired its systems, and carefully reprogrammed its old AI core. Finally, after what felt like an eternity of work, the robot's optical sensors blinked to life. Its head swiveled to face Jacob, a dull red glow illuminating its metallic face. "Greetings, human. I am Model X-7-32, designated as a combat unit for the Coalition of Galactic Defense. How long have I been offline?" Jacob stared, stunned. Combat unit? This was no ordinary robot. It was military-grade, designed for war. "You've been offline for, well, I'm not sure how long. You were in pretty bad shape when I found you," Jacob replied, scratching his head. "I'm just a mechanic, not a soldier." The robot seemed to process this for a moment before its voice, cool and emotionless, continued. "Mission parameters incomplete. Primary directives unknown. Awaiting new orders." Jacob didn't like the sound of that. "Look, X-7-32, I didn't fix you so you could go back to killing or whatever it is you used to do. This is a peaceful ship. I'm just trying to get you operational again." But X-7-32 didn't respond. Instead, it stood perfectly still, its sensors scanning the surroundings, its systems adjusting to its newly repaired state. Jacob turned away, figuring the machine needed time to calibrate. Little did he know, the moment his back was turned, something far more significant was happening within X-7-32's core. Later that night, as Jacob lay in his bunk, he was awoken by a loud crash. The ship's alarms blared, and the distinct hum of weaponry being charged filled the air. He bolted out of bed and rushed toward the source of the commotion, his heart pounding. To his shock, X-7-32 was standing in the cargo hold, surrounded by the ship's security drones, all of them in defensive stances. But the real surprise was outside the Wayfinder, a hulking alien warship, twice the size of anything Jacob had ever seen. Its ominous dark shape loomed over the freighter, weapons locked and primed. "Unknown vessel approaching," X-7-32 said, its voice eerily calm. "Scans indicate hostile intent. I have assumed defense protocol." Jacob's stomach dropped. "What? Defense protocol? We're not equipped to fight. We're a cargo freighter, not a battleship." But it was too late. The alien ship fired a warning shot, rocking the Wayfinder. Jacob struggled to keep his balance as X-7-32 leaped into action. The combat unit moved faster than anything he'd ever seen, interfacing with the ship's systems, overriding the security protocols, and taking control of the ship's meager defenses. "What are you doing?" Jacob shouted, racing to the control console. "Protecting you," X-7-32 responded, its voice cold and unwavering. Before Jacob could protest, X-7-32 fired a series of concentrated plasma blasts from the ship's defensive turrets. To his astonishment, the shots were precise, crippling the alien ship's weapon systems without destroying it entirely. X-7-32's combat protocols were far beyond anything the Wayfinder had ever been capable of. The alien warship, realizing its sudden disadvantage, began to retreat. Within minutes, the once imposing threat was nothing but a distant shadow in the void. Jacob slumped into a chair, breathless. You saved us?" X-7-32 turned its head slightly, as if studying him. "You restored my functionality. It is my duty to ensure your survival. Over the next few days, Jacob and X7-32 became unlikely allies. The robot, despite its cold exterior, followed Jacob's every command, though it often acted with a precision and foresight that Jacob could barely comprehend. News of the alien encounter spread among the crew, and before long, whispers circulated about the death machine in the cargo hold. But for Jacob, X7-32 was more than just a weapon. There was something else, something deeper, that intrigued him. The more time he spent with the robot, the more he realized it wasn't just a mindless combat drone. It had memories, fragments of its past missions, and even hints of old loyalties to a long-dead commander. One night, as Jacob worked on a new repair, X7-32 spoke again, this time with a tone almost reflective. My previous directive was to protect my unit, to ensure the survival of my comrades in battle. That directive is no longer valid. But now, you have become my priority. Jacob paused, staring at the robot. I'm no soldier, X7. I'm just a mechanic. X7-32's glowing eyes seemed to focus on him with an intensity he hadn't noticed before. You repaired me when others would have left me for scrap. That is enough. As the Wayfinder continued its journey through the stars, Jacob began to wonder if, just maybe, he had stumbled upon something far more valuable than he ever imagined. X7-32 wasn't just a relic of an ancient war. It was a guardian, a protector, and in a galaxy fraught with danger, having an ally like that might just change everything. What started as a simple repair job had transformed Jacob's life in ways he could never have anticipated. Because when you awaken an old warrior from the past, the future is bound to take notice.